Welcome to today's new episode of ONS Energy Talks. With me in this session, I have Seema Mehra from Tata Consultancy Services. She's the head of TCS Energy and Resource Business for Europe, UK, and Australia. Seema, it's great to have you with us from Delhi this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Orion. It is truly my privilege and pleasure to be talking to you today and to ONS as well for giving us the platform to talk about a topic that is so pertinent in today's world. Thank you again.
Looking forward to it. Seema, the energy transition is accelerating, and the first thread is visible in the shift from fossil fuels to sustainable sources of energy. Why do you believe that oil and gas companies will transform into sustainable energy companies?
Thank you. I think there are four factors that are driving this move to a sustainable energy future, right? The first factor is the demand for energy. Although the pandemic has caused so much global disruption, but in the near future, and in fact currently as well, we are seeing the demand for energy increasing. In fact, airlines in the US have already predicted that the volumes in 2022 would be higher than 2019. We are also seeing an increase in the global population. It is expected to grow from around 8 billion today to 10 billion by 2050. And we also know that there are nearly 1 billion people across the world who do not have access to affordable energy. So we are already looking at making sure that we provide affordable and inclusive energy for more than 3 billion more people in the next 30 years. The second reason I feel is decarbonization. Orion, we have recently seen so many instances of extreme climate change, whether it was the flash floods in Germany or temperatures rising up to 49 degrees centigrade in Canada and in Italy, or forest fires raging across Greece and Turkey, destroying thousands of hectares of farmland. I think it is very clear to us that we need to do something. We also know that fuel emissions are a major contributor to the increase or the speeding up of the climate change. The latest report, the IPCC report, has also predicted that temperatures are globally expected to rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius. All of this indicates that we need to do something and we need to decarbonize our energy mix. The third reason is the investor concerns that are happening globally are impacting the fund flows to the energy industry. Fund managers are moving away from carbon rich assets to more assets which are affordable renewables, energy storage, grids, as well as all other forms of fuel. This is causing an impact to the boards of the energy companies. And the fourth one is we are also seeing governments play an active role in enacting laws and policies which are directed towards net zero. We are also seeing courts actively engaging and asking the governments and the energy leaders to play their part in reducing emissions. So, in short, actually, society is mandating that we need to act.
Thank you, Seema, for a very good answer and a very methodic one. Some oil and gas companies, Seema, have initiated and communicated a more sustainable strategy of change than others. What are the visible signs of change in the oil and gas industry right now?
The first signs we are already observing is when we are seeing the European oil and gas majors looking at renewing their strategies and realigning their portfolios as well as their management structures to align with their strategy. I think BP has been the first mover, and has committed to reduction in oil and gas production. And then you have Total Energies, which is aspiring to provide other forms of energy as well, including solar, wind, biofuels, hydrogen, natural gas. In fact, Total changed their names to Total Energies to make a point. Statoil has become Equinor, right? Shell, Equinor, Total are all also working towards carbon capture, right?
Mm.
These are signs that there is change, visible change. Neste is in fact very ahead in utilizing waste to energy. They're actually looking at manufacturing um, sustainable fuels from waste. Right? So there is movement that is happening. The second very visible change that we are seeing is the new energy, right? Total itself has around 7 gigawatts of wind and solar energies today. All of these companies are looking at installing thousands of EV chargers across the world. Saipem, which is an engineering provider to oil and gas companies, is getting orders for offshore assets. Right? Equinor is specializing in offshore wind assets. Right? So the new energy that we are seeing is very, very visible. The third one, which may not be that visible, is also happening, is driving the efficiencies of retained oil and gas assets of the oil and gas companies. They will go through a massive optimization to make sure they are carbon efficient, they are reliable, and they are safe. These are what we call as hyper efficient assets or operations, and these would be visible to energy buyers. So the signs are visible today. uh, Renewable energy is commonplace, not only in the developed world, in the developing world as well. I see that in the developing world, adoption of electric vehicles for transportation, whether it is cars or in two wheelers in India, is actually picking up. Right? So it is no longer a buzzword or something niche. It is commonplace, and a common man is wanting to identify and have their own contribution towards it in whichever small way that is possible.
Thank you, Seema. Uh, what do you think, or what does an energy company need to do to win and succeed in the energy transition challenge?
I think the first and foremost, the battle has to be won in the mind, and that is already happening. I have already given examples. That is already happening across the board. I feel each and every energy company will have to go through a rethink about what they want to do for their future, right? The second thing is making sure that they set up goals and targets which are intermediate, 3 year, 5 year targets, rather than setting up a very ambitious target which is 30 years down the line. Communicating their targets is clearly and credibly is also very, very important. Right? And today we are seeing that happening across the board. We are also seeing energy companies have increased engagement with policymakers, citizens, consumers, including employees, because everybody is part of this today. The fourth factor that is very important is that oil and gas companies have to learn a new business and new ways of working. Why so? Oil and oil and gas business is very different from wind and solar energy business. They have to learn the tricks of the trade, perhaps leverage the skills from adjacent industries, whether it is utilities or retail. The second thing is that the adoption of new energy and driving that, the consumer participation and consumer experience is going to be very important. That leads us to a very important point that digital data and experience are going to be some of the key factors that the energy companies would need to adopt, right? But then this is just the beginning. The situation is evolving every day. It's a dynamic world today, right? So the energy majors have to adopt a culture of innovation and agile implementation. We recently conducted a closed sustainability roundtable with participation from major European oil and gas majors. And I tell you, Oregon, I was very impressed and happy to see the leaders openly discussing with each other the issues that they face, the possible solutions that they're thinking of, the possible approaches that they are making, and have an open dialogue to learn from each other. I saw them actually look beyond their own in-house R&D and look for innovative partnerships across. It is a world that they are looking for solutions. They all know that the solutions cannot be their own. It is a larger ecosystem which will give them the solutions that they look for.
Thank you, Seema. So then, how is TCS then participating in this ongoing transition?
It is all, if you see clearly, that technology, data centricity, and innovation are the key factors that will impact this. And it's a home ground for TCS, right? We have been working with multiple customers across our industries to help them digitalization of their assets today, right? So digitalization is going to be a key to make sure that hyper efficient operations are generated. The second factor that is going to come up is that we also need to have new standards for measuring, monitoring, and reporting of emissions, right? All of this will require new data streams to flow through emissions and offsets, as well as the entire energy value chain and finance. Digital and engineering are going to be key factors which will be required for integrating the new energy flows with energy storage, with grids, and with electric mobility. What we have in TCS today is unique. We have the digital and industrial engineering along with a deep innovation ecosystem. We have been able to implement new solutions and new ideas with multiple customers across industries using that. We have a model which we call as the Agile Innovation Cloud, the AIC model, that allows companies to manage their digital strategies, keeping in mind their strategic objectives and ROI. What this model does, it has a portfolio approach which uses agile implementation. So companies are able to test their ideas, test fast, fail fast, and make sure that only the successful ones, which are tested in real life scenarios, make it to the production. This is the only way that they can follow through in this evolving and changing world of sustainable energy transition and not get tied to a 5-year-old roadmap with hard results going forward. I think these will be some of the key enablers which will separate the winners from the losers in oil and gas companies as they transition towards a sustainable future for the planet and for themselves.
One thing is for certain, Seema, you're going to have your hands full and you're going to get busy in the next few years. That's for certain.
We want to be. I think it is our duty as providers, as our duty as partners, to be with our customers along this difficult journey that they are going through. Definitely.
Definitely. Seema, it was a pleasure having you with us this afternoon from Delhi. And in ONS, we're looking forward to have you with us on later energy talks as well towards ONS 2022. So now I just wish you a great afternoon and a great evening in Delhi, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and wish you a very happy evening as well.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Seema. See you.